Hello, hello, and welcome to School Leader Soundbites. I'm your host, Veronica Sofer, and I have the pleasure of chatting with you every week on school topics, especially around communication, visibility, marketing, advertising, all those important functions that help our school systems run well. In this episode today, we're going to be talking about how to use our summer months as we start coming into the summertime on building our personal brand and improving our messaging skills. Those are going to be really important. So, we're going to dive right in and talk about a couple of things that are really going to make a difference for you coming out of the summer, getting ready for the new school year. But before we dive in, let's take care of some housekeeping. If you are listening on the podcast, make sure you hit subscribe. We don't want you to miss any episodes of School Leader Soundbites. If you are watching on Facebook or YouTube, drop me some comments and I will be sure to circle back with you, answer any questions you have. And if you've got some topics you want me to dive into, put them there and I will be sure to touch base. So, with that, let's go ahead and dive right into the summer months because that's what we're looking forward to. Most of us have wrapped up spring break and we are getting into full swing on the testing season, getting ready for graduations, which are always so fun and exciting, and gearing up for summertime. Now, yes, we do work over the summer. I love when people ask if educators and school administrators work over the summer. We absolutely do. We are preparing for a new school year. We are getting our schools in order. We're taking care of all those things we can't take care of when we've got students in our buildings. So this is a time of year when we get to just change what our work looks like. And I thought this would be the perfect time to talk about recharging, reflecting, and how to use that time to improve your brand as a leader. So, first things first, we definitely want to take our vacation time. Many of us get a break in July for a couple of weeks, depending on where you are in the country. And this is the perfect time to reflect on your leadership journey, on all your accomplishments, celebrate all the things you were able to do on your campus and in your district, celebrate the gigantic wins that you had, and use this opportunity to reflect on some of those leadership lessons. And then I want you to map that on top of what your branding looks like, not only the branding for your campus, but for your district, but also for yourself as a leader. If you think about your brand being your promise to your community, I want you to look at your digital footprint and explore the types of social media posts you had, types of blogs you wrote, the kinds of letters that you wrote to families, and the types of communications. Did you tie it to your strategic plan and some of the goals and initiatives that you had outlined for yourself and for your district? And if you haven't, then think about how you can shift that moving forward. So if you know that you send out a monthly newsletter, why don't you use the summertime to do some strategic content development and start outlining those? That doesn't mean you have to write all your newsletters during the summer for the next school year. That's not practical. Plus, you want to make sure that when you are communicating to your families, that you're staying current with the things that are happening in your district. So obviously those need to be flexible, but you can start developing some outlines because you know that Teacher of the Year is always at the same time, that Custodian Appreciation Month is always at the same time, that celebrating our transportation staff or administrative professionals day is always at the same time. So you can start building that into your content calendar so that you have a good structure in place and it doesn't eat up too much of your time during the school year. So use the summer months for that. Use that office time that you have when people are in your buildings banging around and develop what that looks like. Now, for those of you who have aspirations for higher leadership positions, maybe at central office, or maybe even those of you who want to become a superintendent, this is a great time to reflect on your personal brand, the messaging that you've been putting out there. Did you present at conferences this last year? And if you did, pull out some of those themes and actually map them on some sort of tool that you can see where you put a lot of passion and effort into. Maybe it was in leadership development. Maybe it was in mindset. Maybe it was in collaboration. Maybe you're passionate about SEL and how that helps students. Supporting our leaders is really important, but knowing what you're passionate about and where your zone of genius is going to be really helpful to you as you move forward in your career path. So take a look at all the different ways that you presented. Were you able to get your master's degree or your PhD or your EDD? All of those accolades and accomplishments that you have need to be celebrated. If you didn't get a chance to celebrate them, now is your time to celebrate them. It's okay to be a couple of months late on some of these big wins, but do celebrate them, not only for yourself, but for your community. Because here's what we know: when you are out interviewing and people are looking at your digital footprint, they're going to go back a lot, really far. They're going to look at what you have on LinkedIn, what you have on X, what you're putting on Instagram. They're going to look at the type of posts that you're liking and the type of posts that you're sharing. So even if it's been a couple of months, they may go back a couple of years to see what has changed in your leadership style. So if you're posting articles that are really of great value, don't just share them, add some content to it, add a couple of suggestions or highlights. You can even synthesize an article that you read and put that in the post so that people know that they are the person that you can be for them to bring them value, because we're always looking for people to follow and to get tips and strategies from. So utilize your digital footprint in a way that's going to support your brand, especially if you're passionate about social justice or literacy, or maybe physical health, maybe mental health is what you're passionate about. Have some key hashtags that you're using in your digital footprint, and make sure that when you share that you use those hashtags so you can be trending and add to what's happening in the space. So again, summertime's a great time to reflect and recharge. It's also a great time to establish a formal brand if you don't have one. And you've heard me talk about this before, but it's worth saying again. Your brand is not just your logo, it's not just your colors, it's not just your fonts. It is the whole spectrum. It is all of those things, plus the type of hashtags you're using, the type of format that you're using. Maybe reels are really easy and fun for you to do, but maybe long format is where you thrive at. So identify where it is you thrive in this space, and then start developing content for that. Put together a logo. Make sure that your slide deck, when you're presenting at conferences or even just presenting PD to your team members, matches the type of content that you're posting on your social media. It doesn't have to be an exact replica, but it needs to support it. It needs to be aligned. It needs to be complementary to that. So take this opportunity during the summer to go through your slide deck, to go through your letterhead, to go through your note cards. You've heard me talk a lot about note cards before. Again, if you've thought when you heard me the first time talk about using note cards, now is the time to go online and order some. There's a lot of great vendors out there that you can get note cards from. Be sure to order them. And then be sure to also use QR codes whenever you can, so that whatever you do print, you can drive people to something. So if you have a personal website, now's the time to update it with fresh pictures of the accolades, the successes that you've seen on your campus, any growth that you've seen on your campus. Maybe you've had some students that you personally coached or mentored really achieve some remarkable things this last year. Tap into that and add it to your digital footprint. Of course, you want to make sure that you have permission to do that, but celebrating how you contributed to the growth of students and other professionals is another great way of doing it. And then making sure that people know how to reach you. That's really, really important, because we know that asking for feedback and using it to drive some of the changes that are made on your campus is going to be important. And this is probably a really great time to take just a break here and celebrate our official podcast sponsor, K-12 Insight. They have a phenomenal array of tools that you can use if you're in the school system, and regardless of what level you're at, for not only engagement but collaboration. One of my favorite tools that they have is Let's Talk. It is a two-way communication platform that I've used in every district I've been in, and it really helps to feed data so that the administration and the board and all of our campus administration can start to make changes, and they can start measuring it, because we know that what we measure is really important to our growth. We want to make sure we tap into that. So if you haven't had a chance to see any of their products, I highly recommend you reach out. You can visit them at k12insight.com/SOPHER, so they know that you learned about them from this show, and one of their salespeople will reach out to you and connect and show you any great demos that you want to see. So thank you again to our K-12 Insight official podcast sponsor. All right, coming back to using the summer to reflect, to recharge, and to improve your digital footprint. I also want to drop in here that this is a great time to get ahead of the hiring season. So, if you have aspirations, maybe you're a building principal to become an assistant superintendent or an associate superintendent or some sort of executive director at central office, or you're in those mid-level management positions and you're ready for the next big thing, you're looking for your first superintendency, get ahead of the hiring season, which we know will start in the fall by making sure that all of your materials are fresh, they're branded, that your social media is on par. Maybe you're going to create some video content and release it slowly over the fall semester so that when you do get those interviews and you're working with those recruiters know that you're looking. One of the signals that they know you're looking as they see your content, that it's sharp, that it's precise, that it's on brand, that it is consistent. Consistency is key to making sure people know that you are out there. And you want to be able to put those portfolios, your digital portfolios together or your entry plans together in a way that, again, is complementary to your resume, to your interest letter, to your social media, and make sure that your references have been contacted and they are ready and prepared to support you on your leadership journey by you giving them talking points that celebrate what it is you're about. The last thing you want to do is have your references out there talking about something that is not on your resume, that is not aligned to what's in your social media content, and that is not what's in the materials that you're submitting to the recruiter or those search firms. So make sure you use the summer months to reflect, recharge, check out your digital footprint, and get ahead of the hiring season because it will be here before you know it. Make sure you're reading those books. Make sure you're listening to those podcasts, that you are taking care of yourself. You're taking some time off. It is so well deserved to get you ready for another fantastic school year. Now, if this episode wasn't up your alley because you're not looking to the next big thing, you are really in a great place, or you're just starting your leadership journey, share this episode with somebody who is, because I guarantee you that these tips are going to be helpful to one of your colleagues. And I appreciate you guys hitting subscribe because we don't want you to miss any episodes of School Leader Soundbites. And if you are watching on Facebook or YouTube, drop me some comments so I can connect with you. If you want any information on your personal brand and how to get ready for the next hiring season, you can always reach me at veronicavsofer.com, or you can just leave me a message on any of the social media channels and I will be sure to connect with you. You can check out the website at veronicavsofer.com to see all the ways in which I can support you. So with that, I'm going to wrap up this episode, reminding you to stay on brand and use the summer to reflect and recharge and be ready for the next school year.